Welcome, everybody. And I want to pick up on what Rebecca said last evening. She talked about her experience when she was in grade 1, and that harkened me back to grade 1. And I'm going to basically speak to people of a certain age here. I was in grade 1 in June of 1968, and some of you might remember a guy by the name of Pierre Elliott Trudeau was elected. Well, kids in grade 1, I didn't think followed politics until I found out that they do. I grew up in a staunchly progressive conservative family, and my dad had the foresight to put a great big Robert Stanfield sign on our front lawn. Didn't think that was a problem until all my friends were voting for Trudeau. And these are kids that I'd been in grade 1 with the entire year, and all of a sudden in June of 1968, my friends weren't going to play with me at recess because everybody knew the Winchesters were going to be voting for Stanfield, and Stanfield had no chance to win. And luckily for me, summer came along and kids forgot about it by September of 68. I remembered. So if we can tell grade 1 students how important voting is, we can certainly tell high school and students in the other elementary grades. So a little bit of background on me. You knew that I grew up in a conservative household. I've been teaching students civics and history up in the Simcoe County District School Board since 1986. And what I'm going to just do is go through like a student vote checklist. I've been in touch with Amy, and she said, well, focus mostly on the all candidates forums, and I really wasn't sure what the other people were going to be speaking about today. So you don't need to take notes. I've sent all these things to Amy, and Amy's going to put them on the student vote website. I'll just go through a few things at work. We did have our all candidates forum at our school 3 days ago, so I've got some footage to show you from that as well. And anytime you want to just throw a question out, I'm more than happy to deal with that as well. So one of the other things is no matter how prepared you are for an all candidates forum, be prepared for certain things to go awry. For example, I had all 5 candidates good to go and got them their little coffee mugs, and I thought, geez, we got nothing to drink. Well, normally my buddy's got his cooler set up in the phys ed office. It's all out of water. So he goes out and gets me 5 plastic bottles of water. And I said, I'm not going to give to the green candidate, and nobody else wanted them either. So ran out and filled up their water from the fountain. So those sort of things will indeed happen. And also, be prepared, no matter how prepared you are, for some really interesting questions from the students, because that's what it's all about. And in some cases, you might even be accused, this happened to us in the first election that we were doing, 2003, of a candidate saying, I'm not going to show up because you teachers don't like us of a certain party, and we know you're going to tell the students what questions to ask. And I was dumbfounded and said, well, look, you don't show up, we're going to leave an empty chair. And that spoke volumes. And one of the first times Taylor and I ever spoke was he called me because he had seen that local TV coverage of that. So more to the checklist, and as I said, we'll deal with any questions you might have a little later on if you like. Okay. Coming through good. So essentially, it's really important as soon as the election writ is dropped, in my opinion, to get word out to the candidates that you're looking to have an all-candidates forum. It's really important, especially if they're already going to be attending a number of other all-candidates forums. You get your bid in, and as a result, you get them at your school. Plus, once you get the routine down, everybody knows for the provincial election, it's going to be John Winchester calling all the local provincial candidates, so they've already got that on their tentative calendars sometime for September for the upcoming October election. And again, other schools want them too, so that way you get your bid in first. It works really well. Arrange, we find, for cafeteria or gym space, and I've always found that make sure that you get your school's audiovisual club involved. I am not a techie person, and Lauren will attest to that. I was here about 7 o'clock this morning saying, I hope this works well, but get people in the school who know how to set things up, and you don't have to do the work, just get them involved. And Deborah spoke about how important it is to get other people in the departments and other school involved. It's a great way to do that. I find it works best for us. We have a common lunch to do the all candidates forum right after lunch. First of all, it allows me to meet the candidates as they're coming in. I try to tell them to be there a good half an hour ahead of time so we can do the drawing for speech order, et cetera, et cetera. And that way, most of the students will actually come back after lunch and attend. And it works really well as opposed to trying to do that in the morning. But again, take a look at what we do here, adopt it, delete it, whatever tends to work for your school is great. Taylor and the crew, and by the way, what a fantastic team Taylor and Lindsay have put together here. I was fortunate to be part of that teacher group that was down in Toronto about a year ago March and met some of you. And the student vote team has grown many times since then. Fantastic. Just keep it up, guys. Fantastic job. They get posters out real soon. My experience is get the posters up around your school. Get students involved getting posters up in the high traffic areas around your school. Promote the All Candidates Forum. Promote E-Day, Election Day. Let them know when they're going to be voting. If, for example, they know they're going to be away on the 28th of April, like it's going to be for hours, and kids could be away, they could see you, set up advanced polls. Try to simulate an election as close as you can to the real thing. In terms of getting candidates there 30 minutes early, I think I touched on that. Email the format to them. And the format that we've used in our school for the last few years is brief introductory comments by the moderator. And usually it'll be a teacher. It's been me in my school. But if you've got a really competent senior student, that's another great way to get students involved, whether it's a civic student or a politics student, something like that. And of course, the whole purpose is to make sure that it's nonpartisan. Get them involved. And each candidate's had usually 3 to 5 minutes to speak. We then ask questions from the students. And I tell the students, for sake of time, please only ask one candidate, as opposed to, this is a question for all 7 candidates, because you'll never get through very many. And then I limit their answer to about a minute. I stand up with about 5 seconds to go. Sometimes I wave a Canadian flag. They know that they just sit down. Because otherwise, if you don't, they'll use it as a grandstanding opportunity to spend 5 minutes answering a question that probably could have been answered in half that time. I'm going to show you some pictures later on too. Get students involved taking pictures of what's happening during the All Candidates Forum. You can then post them on your website to promote what you do in the school. You can send them to Taylor and Amy and company. They can post them on the Student Vote website too. All right, that's 3 of our 5 candidates last Tuesday. That's the other 2 right there, if I'm seeing correctly, or no, there's the 3. Yep. So we got 5 altogether. Silly looking moderator because I couldn't get a student to do it. All right, back to my speaking notes. I've also find it helps to get the nameplates out, do that in party color. They tend to like that idea. That's one of the presents that you give them. Have some sort of school swag, like I said, whether it's a coffee mug or a pen to thank them for the time that they're taking out of a very busy campaign, obviously. The most important part, though, is to make sure the students know ahead of time that these people will be coming in, so that's why you promote it on your announcements, and the questions that you get are absolutely incredible.